Welcome to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. I am your host, Lagunas. This is an audio community where we own and share our stories as trailblazer moms, crafting a unique and meaningful work lifestyle, leading with passion, breaking barriers, and chasing bold dreams on our own terms. Celebrating our Latina motherhood voices to bring you genuine insights to the highs, the lows, and in-betweens of working moms from a first-gen Latina lens. We don't have to travel this journey alone. Let's get started. Hello, how are you guys? I'm really excited because I am doing a solo episode. I thought it would be a great idea to do a solo episode because of two reasons. It is mid-year and also it is my birthday. So I'm excited to give an update of what we've been working on, and also the reason why I continue to do our Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores episodes, the impact and how meaningful it is for me to continue to do these monthly episodes for the audience. So first and foremost, I'm so excited to share with you that I have reached a milestone. So for those that don't know a little bit about my background and professional journey, my background is in human resources. This year, it will be 16 years since I have been in the field of HR. I started from an HR internship right around the age of 16, 17. I was exploring what I wanted to do for the rest of my career or for the rest of my life. I wanted to understand, what was the next step that I would take. I knew that I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college. But just like anyone else around that age, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And so I decided to apply for an HR internship. I started just learning about what HR was, but I really didn't understand it. So I decided to get some hands-on experience to understand what exactly is human resources. So I found this HR internship posting, and I applied for it. I interviewed for the internship, and it was a paid internship, so I was very excited about that. And I got the internship. So the rest is history. Ever since then, when I graduated from my bachelor's, I was offered a full-time human resources coordinator role. So that was my first professional role. And I was working for a catering company. So it was a fun industry. And the rest is history. So ever since then, I've been working in HR. And in 2019, I decided to go full-time with HR consulting. I did HR consulting in 2015 when I had my 3 kids under age 4, and I knew I needed flexibility. At that time, it was very difficult for me to find a part-time HR job. It was not very common. And, unlike now, post-COVID, we were able to find part-time jobs and also work from home jobs or remote jobs. Back then, it wasn't like that. So it was very, very, very hard. It was like looking for a unicorn to find a part-time HR role. So back in 2015, when my kids were very small, I decided to leave my corporate job, and it wasn't really planned. I know that I needed the flexibility, but unfortunately, during that time, I also had a toxic leader. And really, that was the main reason why I decided that it was time to move on. Perhaps it wasn't the best time in retrospect because I had just recently had a baby, and then I had another baby 11 months later. And usually when you're growing your family, you don't really want to make a lot of job changes because you need that stability. But I was working for a toxic leader. I wouldn't even say it's a a true leader wouldn't act the way that this person was acting, but he was the director of HR and the person that the entire team reported to. So that was the main driver why I left my corporate job and pursued HR consulting, which would give me the flexibility to create my own schedule and be able to contribute to the workplace, utilize my degrees, and also have that work-life balance that I was looking for. And the work-life balance is something that I highly value. It really comes from my experience growing up. Like a lot of us, our parents were very hard workers, and they were on a survival mode and working most of the time. So there was really not a lot of time to be spent doing extra curricular activities outside of work, where my parents were both working. My dad was working overtime to save a little bit of money. There was no activities, attending sports, attending any type of extra school activities. Not because they didn't want to, it's because they just didn't have the time to do it, or their employers were not flexible with giving them that ability to attend those events. So that is one of the reasons why I really value family time and making sure that I spend time with my kids and extra activity events. I make that a priority. One of the things that I love now is that my parents have that second opportunity to show up for their kids through their grandkids, because they are 100% on board with attending events for my kids and my siblings' kids. So that's also kind of nice to see it, how life gave them that second opportunity to show up for their kids through their grandkids. And I love that. So to me, it's really important having that work-life integration, having that time freedom to be with my children and my family. I completely understand where they're coming from. Even now as an adult, I see how difficult it is for working parents to have the support, right? There's not a lot of support from the workplace. There's not a lot of support from the country. It's a work in progress, and I'm hoping that one day we'll have more family-friendly policies, but also legislation here in the U.S. What I'm excited about is that this year I reached 8 years of HR consulting. I started HR consulting and career coaching a couple years later. So I started HR consulting in 2015 when I had my 3 kids, and career coaching I started in 2018. So I was doing both simultaneously while still doing HR. And this year I reached 5 years since I started career coaching, which I found Creative Achievers Network in 2018. And this year is our 5-year anniversary. And really, I'm excited about that because the career coaching stemmed from HR, from my exposure in HR. And it ties with what I do in HR. And what I mean by that is that I truly believe that our leaders are essential in building the culture and setting the tone for the organization. And I've done a lot of career coaching within HR and within companies to help the managers lead their teams. And all this works if the manager is on board and if the manager has that emotional intelligence to elevate their team. And a lot of times, what I've seen is that a lot of times managers are very good in their skill set, and they get promoted to a manager role, and the organizations do a disservice by not training them to be a manager. And so I do a lot of career coaching within the HR work that I do. And a lot of data shows that when managers have career coaching conversations with their employees, those employees tend to be more engaged, and also um, not leave the organization and have such high turnover. So from HR, I discovered that passion about career coaching and leadership coaching, which is why I created Creative Achievers Network. And also, one of the things that I enjoy about that is that I'm able to help individuals who perhaps don't have the experience, or maybe they're fresh out of college and really don't know how to market themselves because they've never done it before, right? They've never went to a job interview. They've never had to do job searching. So I love working with also the younger generation to give them the tools to equip themselves so that they can set up themselves for success in the future. And not only that, I find it very rewarding when individuals find a job that matches their values and matches their overall goals. So like for me, like I mentioned, time freedom is one of the values that I honor the most, just because my parents didn't have that flexibility to have time freedom to attend our events and stuff like that, right? So for me, that's important. And I love when individuals are perhaps under job search strategy, or maybe they're searching for they're on the job search mode, and they're able to align what they value the most with an employer who honors that. That's very important to me. So the impact that career coaching has with the individuals that I work with, it's just so rewarding. And for HR consultant, right, for the HR work that I do, I also find that rewarding because through the experience that my parents had in the workplace, it was not great. Back to 50 years ago, the laws that exist now didn't exist before. And so a lot of times our parents or their generation didn't feel seen, didn't feel heard. And I hear those stories. I hear those stories from my parents, from my uncles, and a lot of times it was unfair practices. So for me, it was important that if I work in HR, I wanted to make sure that the employees felt that HR was an advocate for them, and also another resource for them. And that's one of the main things that I do in my work, is I want to make sure that our employees know that HR is another resource for them. We're advocating for them because that's the way it should be. So for me, that also is very valuable, what I do in HR, in the impact. And I love when employees come to me and tell me, you're the first HR person that has gotten back to me, or that you're the first HR person that has shown empathy, or your professionalism means a lot to me. Because for some reason, maybe in the past, they didn't get that type of feeling, right? And I know that if you ask others, sometimes HR has that bad reputation, right? A lot of times when I talk to individuals and I ask them, what do you think HR is? Or, what's your take on HR? A lot of them think that HR just fires and hires. That's not necessarily the full picture, right? Yes, hiring and firing is part of the HR world, but that's not all encompassing, right? And unfortunately, sometimes we do have to terminate an employee, or we have to discipline an employee. And for me, what really is important is that I treat the individual with respect, no matter what the situation is. And that has worked very well for me, making sure that they're treated with respect, they're treated with empathy, and they have that communication that they need for these types of events. So those are my history on HR. I'm excited for my 5-year milestone. And now I'm excited because after working as an HR consultant under one of my mentors, I am now the founder of my own HR consultancy. The reason I found Evolve HR Leadership and Consulting is based on my experience working in HR and how I felt there was a gap to ensure that our management team had all the tools and was equipped to lead their teams. That was one aspect. The other aspect is that I strongly believe that we need more women leaders in leadership roles to redefine the workplace with more family-friendly policies and policies that make sense for women, for working moms. Those are my main reasons. So I am so excited because not only will I be able to help the leaders grow their teams with empathy and with thought leadership, but also seeing women leaders rise in leadership roles. That is just for me very important. And so for Evolve HR Leadership and Consulting, I want to cultivate a new landscape of workplace culture that reflects the values and priorities of the new generation of leaders and elevate leadership with customized HR support so that they can grow their teams, growing their business and leadership capabilities, transforming workplaces into the employer of choice. The world and the workplace is constantly changing. That's part of the reason why I picked Evolve, right? We're in this evolved state of mind. We constantly have to evolve. We have to keep learning. We have to self-develop and have this self-mastery and have these learning mindset, because every day we learn something new. And women leaders are more prominent than ever in redefining the workplace of tomorrow. I know this because once I found my voice, I was able to rise to leadership roles where I directly impacted the culture of the company. And I did this by developing policies and programs that were applicable to working moms. I used my voice to create family-friendly policies and make changes in topics that matter to us the most, to working moms. I'm driven by making an impact to make an equitable workplace for our future generations that includes my children, and specifically daughter, as data shows women of color mothers have been severely impacted and underrepresented and have faced systematic challenges to reach leadership roles and equitable pay. So recently, the Pregnant Women Fairness Act, effective on June 27, created protections for pregnant, postpartum, and pumping mothers. The act gives the right to workplace accommodations that allow moms to keep their jobs and, most importantly, protect their health. The legislation is far-reaching and actually very much needed. More than 73% of mothers with children under the age of 18 were part of the labor force in 2022, and the U.S. has now reached its highest percentage of women in the workforce, 77.6% of women ages 25 to 54. And there is an estimated additional 9 million moms that will be receiving benefits and protection under this act. So it's very important that we continue to advocate for these legislations and policies and programs to build a workplace that is made for working moms. The current system is made for men, and there is nothing against men, but that's how it was before. Men would go to work and women would stay at home. So it's time to evolve. It's time to update our policies and programs. And this is part of the reason why I'm an advocate about this topic, and I want to use this platform of Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast to highlight all the working moms and all of their efforts and all their contributions to society and to the workplace. So I hope you can continue to help me in this journey and highlight all these wonderful mothers, and also join our forces together so that we can um, make more strides in this very important topic. Another thing that I want to talk about is I invite you all to submit your topics that you would like to hear in our podcast. One topic that comes in mind that really is parallel to this topic is the addressing the childcare crisis, right? You probably all have had some sort of concern or maybe challenges with childcare. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. has lost over 100,000 child care workers over the past 3 years, about 10% of the pre-pandemic workforce. This mounting child care crisis continues to hurt working families and the cost of the American economy to almost 122 billion each year. Rising childcare costs are driving parents out of the workforce, with the average cost of childcare hitting $10,600 in 2021. A recent report found that 13% of parents with young children had to quit, change, or turn down a job because of a childcare concern. And women are 5 to 8 times more likely than men to experience employment consequences due to caregiving. In addition to that, the US is one of just 6 countries in the world without guaranteed federal paid leave policy in 2023. So definitely this is a topic that I would like to discuss with some women leaders and podcast hosts, but I definitely welcome for you to DM me or send me an email or send me a chat and let me know what you want to hear in the next 6 months. I'm really, really excited on what's to come. I am also gonna be hosting quarterly events with our community. I am local to Chicago, so for right now, it's gonna be local. We're gonna invite mothers and women leaders who are like-minded to network and socialize and create a community and support system, because we need that, right? As working moms, we need all the help that we can get, and we're going to start doing that quarterly now. Right now it's summertime in Chicago, and it's the best time to do rooftop gatherings or patio brunches. And so I'm looking forward for that. I hope that you take my invitation, and hopefully we can join locally with our Chicago moms. And my future goal is that we can do this also in other states in the future, have quarterly events where our mothers can take a quick break or weekend getaway and be able to support each other and have like-minded meetings and socialize and have a little bit of wine, right? Because who doesn't like wine? Thank you so much for your support. It's definitely been a very eventful year. This is my first time being on a full-time entrepreneur journey with career coaching and HR consultancy. And it's my first summer where I have been able to work about 15 hours a week so that I can spend the rest of the time with my children during their summer break. And sometimes I pinch myself because this is exactly what I dreamed of, and on how I am able to contribute from a work perspective and use my strengths and skills, unique skills that God has provided to me, and be able to contribute that, but at the same time, being able to have that time freedom to be with my children. It's been really hard to get to this point, but I'm so grateful that all the stepping stones that brought me to here have given me an opportunity to learn from them. And now I'm able to give back to the community. And I'm doing that through the podcast and also through mentorship opportunities that have been presented to me, because I am a firm believer about giving back to the community. I'm also a woman of faith, and to me that just means the world to me, being able to give back, being able to give back to the community, and being grateful for everything that I've been working on and have been working on relentlessly, and I can now see the fruits of the labor. So thank you all for your support. If you have any questions, DM me, send me a chat, send me the topics you want to hear. I definitely want to hear from you, and your support is what keeps the podcast going. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the 6 months ahead of you. 6 months for the rest of the year. Never too late to start. Keep working on your goals. Keep the consistency. Keep cheering yourself up, because whatever you're working on, it's going to work out at the perfect time for you. So keep manifesting what you want to see, and it will happen. Take care, and I look forward to our next solo episode. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. We have a new episode every month. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave a review and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.